Good afternoon. My name is Paige Anglin and my partner is Rett, and together we have been working on the Project Peoria Community Forestry Program for the completion of our SOS 593 Applied Project course.
In this presentation, we will briefly discuss the problem definition and provide a quick recap of the project, as well as the guiding theory of change. Next, we will go into our two main interventions, the matrices and benchmarking, as well as the survey. Then we'll discuss the challenges, results, and recommendations. After a quick synopsis of what we learned, we will open it up for questions. The City of Peoria has identified unmitigated rising temperatures as a risk to its urban environment. The development of the urban heat island effect, or UHI, can have devastating impacts on infrastructure, the natural environment, human health, social equity, and economic durability. This issue is wicked in nature, as it cannot be easily undone with one solution. It also fits Week's problem identification steps. Urban heat in Peoria is significantly harmful over the long term because it negatively affects ecosystem viability, human health, livelihood, equity, and inter-regional and intergenerational justice. It is urgent as it has already claimed lives in the Phoenix metro region. It has dispersed effects, including higher costs of maintaining comfortable lifestyles, reliance on automobile transport, biodiversity loss, and heat-related illnesses. Its causes are complex and include destruction of natural desert landscapes, car-centric urban design, urban sprawl, and Phoenix's climate in general. Finally, it is contested as people who can easily afford to maintain their quality of life despite rising temperatures will not feel the effects on the same level as individuals that cannot afford higher air conditioning bills, car maintenance and gas, and so on.
In the fall 2020 semester, the City of Peoria, Arizona approached Project Cities in the 2021 MSES cohort for research on the feasibility, desirability, and challenges of adopting a community forestry program, or CFP. This team was asked to evaluate Peoria's potential for canopy growth and plant adoption by researching forestry or shade programs in cities with similar climates, as well as reaching out to Peoria citizens to determine the community desire for a CFP. This process includes identifying the specific barriers and opportunities regarding implementation. To gain some information on how other cities are tackling urban forestry, our team created a matrix analyzing the strengths and weaknesses of forestry programs or initiatives in municipalities throughout Arizona, and then municipalities throughout the United States with exemplary plans. In addition, our team sent out a survey to residents in Peoria with questions pertaining to their knowledge of community forestry, sustainability, ecological services, and what success could be defined as in a future CFP for Peoria. This work was all done to assist Peoria in determining whether or not a CFP can and should be developed. We used Week's problem identification steps to determine whether or not urban heat and the need for a CFP was a true sustainability problem in need of sustainability problem solving. Week's solution strategy is a part of the larger sustainability problem solving framework, and it was used to conduct research and find best practices for a CFP. Our theory of change was Peoria currently desires a community forestry program to reduce inequalities between its districts, reduce the urban heat island effect, and promote safety and sustainability within the city. However, barriers to designing this program have not been fully explored. By doing research and communicating with community members, we can identify unknowns that can help shape a future community forestry program. This will improve the equitability of the program if it is created and maximize the city's impact. Identifying best practices will allow the city to make educated and sustainable decisions. Transition management governance approach is more of a tool than a framework, but we did use it primarily in the resident information gathering component of this project. This approach has three main parts: visioning, learning, and experimenting. Transition management involves bringing multiple viewpoints and approaches to a problem into an arena, where participants, such as those surveyed, were invited to explore potential CFP components and give their opinion on how each may benefit or harm their livelihoods, and if doing something to remedy the urban heat problem is truly better than doing nothing to solve it. It encompasses societal values and beliefs, identifies issues that may impact a range of people, and takes a long-term perspective with short-term objectives. In our team's first matrix, we analyzed the cities of Peoria, Chandler, Tempe, Scottsdale, Phoenix, Flagstaff, Glendale, Gilbert, Avondale, Mesa, Yuma, and Goodyear, all cities in the general Phoenix metro area. Tempe and Phoenix were considered some of the most advanced cities in Arizona due to their visible investment in and commitment to community forestry. Both of these cities related urban forestry back to their sustainability plans and had clear, achievable, yet aggressive, goals for canopy growth and shade coverage. Because Peoria's Sustainability 3.0 survey was just collected, we think now would be a great time to incorporate forestry action plans into the city's sustainability plan. Outside of the Phoenix metro area, we studied Tucson, San Antonio, Austin, San Diego, Portland, and Albuquerque. The majority of these cities are similar to the Phoenix metro cities in terms of climate or population density. Tucson's Million Trees Plan, Austin's 2034 Urban Forest Vision, and San Diego's push for 35% shade coverage by 2035 are ambitious but dedicated goals and are supported by a variety of educational programs and workshops, funding, and citizen support. The main questions asked when analyzing each program were: is there a designated forestry or shade plan in this city? What are some tree education strategies the city or intra-city organizations use? What are some known next steps for community forestry? Is the city an Arbor Day Foundation Tree City USA? And is there any other relevant information that supports the city's forestry actions?
The survey was developed to provide the city with a better understanding of residents' preferences and concerns regarding the development of a community forestry program, as well as observations about the existing canopy. It will remain open for all of April and continue collecting responses that can be used by the city. The responses that have been recorded are very promising and provided insight into how residents would like to see the program managed and for what, and the threats and concerns they have seen regarding the existing canopy. Additionally, these responses have indicated strong support for the development of the community forestry program, with all responses indicating yes, they would like to see it developed. Over the course of the project, we faced a few challenges that were not insurmountable but did delay our timeline. Initially, there were more approval processes that the survey needed to go through than initially expected, which has contributed to the limited responses that we have at this time. However, responses will continue to be recorded and will still prove useful to the city. Together, these have made much more evident the brief timeline of an academic project versus a public project put on by the city. The initial survey responses have indicated a few general trends regarding management goals that residents would like to see, as well as threat that they have indicated. The management goals that received the most responses were sustainability, increased shade, reduction in heat, an improved sense of community, and more trees. Together, those provide a pretty solid base for the community forestry program. Additionally, the threats that were indicated were changes in climate, increased city population, lack of funds dedicated to tree management, and the threat of habitat loss, presumably regarding urban sprawl.
As a result of creating our matrices, our team has created a list of recommendations that we think could help CFP creation to be the most successful in Peoria. First of all, we recommend that the Peoria 311 app be made available on app stores like Apple, Android, and Google, and have options available for citizens to report beyond downed trees. One possible feature could be the ability for app users to place a pin on a satellite map of the city where they would like additional shade. Concentrations of pins could help guide maintenance crews on the areas where tree plantings are our biggest priority. Additionally, Peoria does not have a citizen tree planting or forestry board. Creating a board to advise tree maintenance individuals and policy decision makers on forestry topics would be a fantastic way of ensuring community involvement and input in CFP development. If creation of an entire board is not feasible at this time, then a subcommittee or a designated forestry board member could be added to the existing Parks and Rec board to advise on urban trails and the intersection of shade and walkability. Adding public fruit-bearing trees to the urban landscape would provide benefits beyond shade provision to Peoria. Advertising a citrus-lined walkway or corridor as a food forest could promote tourism and inspire discussions about sustainable and local food production. Additionally, whatever produce from the trees that is not picked and consumed by passerby could be donated to local low-income housing centers or shelters. As hinted towards in the Sustainability 3.0 survey, there is a lack of public understanding of what tree maintenance staff actually do. Actions such as removing trees can be confusing to local homeowners or pedestrians if there is no explanation given as to why that tree was removed, for instance, if it was diseased or otherwise compromised. If Peoria tree maintenance staff were to do social media takeovers, run a blog, or have another method of creating transparency, the community would have a resource with which to become familiar with common city forestry practices. Although it may not be feasible at this time, Peoria could hire an urban forester to work for or consult for the city, similar to Richard Atkins' role in Tempe. While Peoria does have arborists that are working on the forestry plan, a dedicated individual whose primary focus is the development of an urban canopy would likely shorten creation and implementation time of a CFP, as well as serve as a figurehead for tree-related educational campaigns. Due to difficulties associated with COVID-19, as well as our short timeline, we have learned that flexibility is crucial for applied projects. The Gantt chart is more of a guide than a set-in-stone document, and being able to accelerate the pace of output for deliverables is sometimes necessary. We also found that municipal projects are very different from other projects we have both completed before, as there are bureaucratic limitations to what cities can accomplish in a given amount of time. This could be detrimental to achieving change on a strict timeline, but we now know to expect these barriers in the future when working on city projects. Because of delays in our survey, multiple deliverables had to be completed simultaneously in a short period of time. This was stressful, but we were able to overcome the difficulties we encountered. Finally, we learned how to communicate effectively with project stakeholders when face-to-face communication wasn't an option. If we were to redo this project, we would definitely change the timing on our Gantt chart to allow for more delays in communication, make deliverables not reliant on each other for completion, and anticipate further scope creep. Thank you to the City of Peoria, Project Cities, and the School of Sustainability at ASU for sponsoring this project. We appreciate the work that you've put into making this project a success.